Salam and good afternoon. Thank you for the previous two performances. The first one made me realize that I'm feeling imposter syndrome at the moment, and the second enforces me to talk about the topic that I'm going to share with you. So I'm going to take you back into my memories, to some of which many people will relate. When I was a child, I used to lie on the floor of my grandparents' house in the high valleys of the Pamirs of Tajikistan, the kind of place where sunlight arrives very late, sliding carefully over the mountain ridges before spilling through the roof. There, above me, was a square opening, and my grandparents called it the Chorkhona. Through it, light streamed down like a living thread, connecting the earth and the sky. I did not know then that this light carried centuries of meaning. I only knew that when the sun poured in, the house felt alive, as if it breathed with us. I can still remember the smell, the faint smoke of mountain wood curling toward that opening, the sound of sheer choy bubbling in a blackened kettle, and the voice of my grandmother humming a prayer while stirring the fire. Years later, when I started studying the architecture of our region, I realized that the Chorkhona isn't just a skyline. It represents four elements of the nature: the earth, the water, fire, and the wind. But in the tradition of the Tajiks of the Pamirs, it represented the journey of human soul, from the law to practice, to knowledge, to truth. So when my grandmother prayed beneath that light, she wasn't simply performing a household ritual. She was echoing an ancient knowledge that every house is a small universe, and every act of care within it keeps that universe alive. We, the Tajiks of the Pamirs, call our traditional house the Chid. It's more than a shelter. It's more than a house. It's a philosophy built in wood, stone, and clay. Each of its 5 pillars stand for something sacred. In an ancient Aryan world, the pillars represented guardian angels. And with the coming of Islam, the pillars embodied the Ahlul Bayt, the Prophet Muhammad, his daughter Fatima, his cousin Ali, and his grandsons Hassan and Hussein. So when a family gathers beneath those pillars, they don't just sit there. They sit under the symbols of obedience, purity, love, and sacrifice. The very structure of the home becomes a lesson on how to live. But here lies the paradox. The Chid has survived centuries of earthquakes, invasions, and very harsh conditions in the region. And yet, what threatens it now is something far quieter. It is forgetfulness. In our towns today, many families move into concrete apartments. Yeah, very practical, very efficient, and probably modern. But something sacred disappears with the wooden beams. The fire pit goes silent. The stories once carried by smoke have nowhere to rise. I remember visiting a new restaurant in Khorog, built with glass and steel. But on the ceiling, the owners had installed the Chorkhona, just purely decorative. When the sun passed through it, I watched people look up and smile. No one said anything, but in that shared silence, I sensed recognition, as if their bodies remembered what their minds had forgotten. Culture doesn't vanish in an instant. It lingers, waiting for us to look up. The Chid is more than architecture. It's a map of meaning. Its base is earth. Its beams are air. Its fire represents warmth and life. Its jar holds water, which represents obedience, abundance. Sorry. To live in a such house is to live in harmony with order of creation. Perhaps that's why losing it feels so painful. Because when we lose the cheat, we lose our orientation in the world. A few years ago, in Moscow, I met with the members of Tajik community from GBAO who managed to build a house in a suburban area of Moscow with completed 5 pillars and a small chorkhona that caught even the faint northern sun. Every weekend, the members of the community gathered there for weddings, for Nowruz celebrations, and sometimes for collective prayers. An elderly man once told me, "When my children sit here, I don't have to teach them who they are. The cheat does it for me." That sentence has stayed with me because architecture at its best doesn't just hold walls, it holds memory, and memory is fragile. We often think fragility is weakness, but fragility can become a teacher. It reminds us that beauty must be cared for. It should not be possessed. Our traditions, like our glaciers, like our languages, survive only if we tend to them. The cheat teaches us that resilience isn't only about strong foundations. It's about keeping meaning alive inside them. Because when the meaning fades, even the strongest foundation structure is empty. So, I invite you to think about your own cheat. What stories live inside it? What songs? What smells? What memories still whisper in its corners? And what might happen if one day those voices fell down? The fragility of now is not in our buildings, but in forgetting what they once meant. And maybe, just maybe, remembering is the most powerful act of resilience we still have. Thank you very much.